Are you a blind or visually impaired athlete? You know the importance of protein in your diet. Get a free egg separator from our friends at The Blind Kitchen. Just send your mailing address to info@theblindkitchen.com. That's info@theblindkitchen.com. Along with your mailing address, be sure to mention Eyes Free Sports in the subject line. Hey there, and thanks for tuning into episode 166 of the Eyes Free Sports podcast. My name is Greg Lindberg. On this episode, we are chatting with two gentlemen who have been very involved in beat baseball over the last several years, and they actually recently teamed up to put on this beat baseball tournament in Puerto Rico, which was a super unique event, and I think you'll really enjoy hearing about not only their backgrounds, but just everything that went into facilitating this type of a tournament and what it means for the future of beat ball in Puerto Rico. So let's go ahead now and hit the field and start swinging toward episode 166 of the Eyes Free Sports podcast. Okay, so here on this episode of Eyes Free Sports, we are chatting about beat baseball. And specifically, we definitely want to get into this recent beat baseball tournament that was held in Puerto Rico. A pretty unique event. So to help us get into all this, I would first like to welcome David Sanchez. David, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And then we also have Jason Frazier with us. Jason, welcome.
Thanks, Greg. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Always a pleasure to be on the show.
Awesome. And just, have to shout out MindsEye Radio. Just, you guys have supported my podcast now for a long time. So really appreciate the support for all this time, Jason.
No problem. Great. You do great work.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. So why don't we just start here, just kind of about your backgrounds, kind of get into, your kind of who you guys are. We can go to David first on this one.
Well, I always been involved in sports. Like I started playing baseball in little leagues back in 1985. Then also I was a coach of basketball when I was 13 years old. Grew up in that league for like 6-7 years, a little bit more, between coaching and be part of the staff of the league. Then I went to the Army in 2000 with the 82nd Airborne Division. I stayed there until 2005, and after that, I started working at the orthopedic office as an ortho technician. I did that job for like 6 years, and my last job was working in a furniture store as a salesperson for about 6-7 years. And ever since 2018, I don't work anymore, thanks God. But I think it's even worse now than when I was working because I was busy.
Always finding something to do, yeah. And as far as your visual impairment, what's your condition, David?
My condition is retinitis pigmentosa, RP. And funny to say, it was diagnosed by luck, I could say. Because I was the one who was trying to get a surgery when I was in the Army, like the laser surgery. And if I didn't want to get that done, they would never find out, or I would never find out.
Wow. And then so today, what's kind of your level of vision?
According to my last test, I have less than 10 degrees on diameter on my peripheral vision.
Right.
At least my central vision is pretty good. My peripheral is almost gone.
I see. Gotcha. Let's go over to Jason. So just talk to us kind of about your background, Jason, and definitely curious how you got connected to the blind community.
So it kind of goes a full circle because I say in my life here. I started at MindsEye. I've almost now been here for 15 years. I graduated from SIUE with a mass communications degree. When I was leaving SIUE, I also had a job at 101 ESPN, a local ESPN radio affiliate. But I also need another part-time job. And so this is going to date people, and some people are going to be like, what the heck is that? I actually saw the listing for MindsEye on Craigslist. But I never knew MindsEye existed until I walked up to the door that day. The thing where I say it's kind of full circle, MindsEye is located in the grounds of Our Lady of the Snows, a shrine in Belleville, which is like basically we call it Disneyland for Catholics. I went to Catholic school my whole life. Also, I grew up 6 minutes away from where MindsEye is located. And my grandmother, who lived with us until she passed away when I was around 11, she was visually impaired. So I always, with this audio, as I say, now I know it's audio description. I would audio describe The Price is Right for my grandma. Basically telling her, hey, Bob Barker just got tackled by some crazy lady, grandma. Like that's what's happening right now. Things like that. At that age, I didn't know that's what I was doing. I just thought I was having a conversation, relaying information. Fast forward, started at MindsEye as a part-time board operator. Have been able to see the organization go through many changes in the applications to add audio description, the program, and also adaptive athletics. We kind of got into beat baseball. When I got to MindsEye, they were doing beat baseball, like a fundraising tournament. Like sighted players were playing, different rules, 70-foot bases, just a lot of stuff that, like, when I first got introduced to beat baseball, I thought that's what the game was. And then we were, Chad Dillon actually reached out and said, hey, man, would MindsEye be interested in having a team participate in the NBBA World Series? Originally, I said no. When I originally said yes, I said, we're just going to do the once-a-year World Series. I think that's all we can handle right now. And, fast forward, our involvement has been pretty deep in the sport since 2020.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I'm just honestly a huge fan of everything you guys are doing there with MindsEye. I know you mentioned, obviously, you got the radio station, you've got adaptive sports, audio description, for different events. And there are times I'm like, man, I should move to St. Louis just because all the cool stuff you guys are doing there. So hats off on all that.
We still have the humidity, but it's a lot less humid here, Greg, so you might enjoy it.
True. The winters, though, I don't know if I could handle those winters. I've heard they're pretty rough in the Midwest.
Yeah, if you like negative 10 degrees, we got something for you, but if not, probably not the place.
True. Although our buddy Neil McDonald did move there, from California, so I think he's pretty adjusted.
He's figured it out.
Yup. So let's go back to David. David talked to us about just kind of how you initially discovered adaptive sports, and was it beat baseball? Is that kind of the initial sport that you got into?
Yes. Back in 2018, when I moved to Massachusetts, I don't remember if I was looking at Google or Facebook or anything like that. I know that it came out something about blind hockey. So when I saw that, I said, well, if they have blind hockey, they might have other sports. So I started looking, basketball, baseball. When I found baseball, then I found the league. I checked in the teams on the league, and it was one in Boston. So I reached to Rob, and that was from like March. I started practicing with them in April, and then I went, through the season with them. And I've been playing for them ever since.
Awesome. And just talk to me about your experience on the Boston Renegades.
It's been a blast. It's a blessing at the same time because they're a great organization. They're very organized. When I walked in for the first time to a practice, I said, wow, this is like a semi-pro team because we have doctors, nurses, trainers, like it's pretty organized and very well set up. And then the players and the volunteers, we are like a family. We talk constantly to each other in and off the field, in and out of the seasons. It's like I said, it's like a new family to me.
Right. Very cool. And Jason, back over to you. So obviously the Gateway Archers are the beat baseball team kind of under that MindsEye umbrella. And I know you've done coaching, managing, just, have worn so many different hats. If you just want to kind of summarize your experience there with the Archers and just kind of the amazing progress you guys have made in a few years.
It's just one of those things when we first got into the sport and, as I said, we started out saying, hey, we're going to just do one event. And then we went to the first tournament and I was just hooked with I've always been a fan I'm a sports fan by heart, first nature anyways. So, just me going to that first tournament, getting hooked. And I'm like, hey, we can maybe do another tournament. Maybe we can do the World Series. And we hosted the World Series the last couple of years, in 24 and 25. And then, we also helped host a couple of tournaments out in Vegas, and now the West Coast Beatball Invitational, now with Puerto Rico. I just like to help expand the sport and give this sport an opportunity to grow and just see there's so much potential. As I always tell people, this sport once you see it for the first time, and once you're out there playing, or you're playing it, or someone who's witnessing that, um, you just are amazed by the incredible athleticism that goes on from each of these athletes who are taking place and sacrificing their body for a whole weekend or a whole week at the World Series. It's quite addictive. I brought other people in, and friends, family, and say, "Hey, I'm going to have you go to one tournament with me, and just check it out." And Orlando Gonzalez, who's a coach of the Archers, that's what happened to him. Them to go to Champaign, and now he's a coach of the Archers. So once you get people involved, I just want other people to be able to be involved in the sport, and also other people have a chance who are now seeing it to see how incredible it is, and now so you lend their hand to the sport and see how we can make it grow.
Right. Well said. That's awesome. So in terms of this tournament that recently happened in Puerto Rico, I guess we can go back to David on this. So David, you are from Puerto Rico originally, right?
Yes.
Gotcha. And so was it kind of as far as the genesis of this tournament, was it kind of your brainchild, you and Jason kind of working together?
Well, it's a little bit of both. Like, first, when I started playing in 2018, that I found out about the league, I was already legally, I mean, I was diagnosed legally blind since 2007. So it took me 11 years to learn that it was a baseball for the blind. So once I start playing, I said, I mean, I want to bring this to Puerto Rico because I think they don't have it. But at the beginning, I didn't know how, and I was trying to, to get more involved, to learn more, and then, go there with some knowledge. So then in 2022, I believe, I invite one of my friends. I used to play baseball in Puerto Rico for the Olympic team. And when he came to the practice, he loved it. He said at the end of the practice, I thought I was going to come in for like 20 minutes, but when I see these, I had to stay at the whole practice. So we did a Facebook Live, like encouraging Puerto Rico to create a team, stuff like that. And then after that, I saw people calling me and asking for it. So I said, I guess, there's some room to grow. So then in 2023, I saw an article about this specific city that did something for the blind community on their botanical garden. That I said, well, this is the spot then. So I did the proposal, went there on August 2023. They accepted, and we start practicing on 2024. And then last year at the Las Vegas tournament, I met Jason, and Jason told me, "Hey, what do you think about doing a tournament in Puerto Rico?" And that's how the tournament started up, from that encounter in Las Vegas a year ago. And we made it happen.
Right. That's amazing. Yeah. And Jason, anything you want to add to that?
I mean, I just saw, I think right before that, they had made an outreach about trying to get beat baseballs in Puerto Rico. And, you know, I saw that. I was like, man, that's another area. And I know it's baseball heavy. You watch the World Baseball Classic, as I talk about, I'm from St. Louis. And here, we joke. There are certain sports figures that walk on water in each area of the world, where and then in St. Louis, one of our most famous athletes is Yadier Molina, who's from Puerto Rico. His brother Benji was at the 24 World Series, and of course, their family carries deep roots to their community. So I was like, hey, it's an opportunity for us to do something in the area that would benefit a country who's very baseball heavy, very baseball rich. And meeting David and knowing kind of a little bit of his background, I'm one of the people, I'm always willing to try something. I think if you're afraid to fail, you're going to be afraid to do everything in life. So I said, hey, if we can make this work, here's the logistics, what we need to do. I was ready to go for it. And me and David set up, again, that Vegas tournament, we talk about growing the sport in the community, but also by way of me meeting David at that Vegas tournament and having that conversation, now we're going to the sport in Puerto Rico as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And David, back to you. Just talk to us a little more about kind of the blind community in Puerto Rico. Do you kind of have a handle on like how many folks are in the blind and low vision community? And then specifically when it comes to sports, are there a lot of adaptive sports, opportunities for the blind there?
As far as I know, yes. Like the Federation of Blind athletics of Puerto Rico, they have like goal ball and even dominoes, chess, and other kind of sports, for the blind. And they're moving along. Plus, they have other organizations like NFB for Puerto Rico, which right now we have the president of the NFB of Puerto Rico playing with us as well.
Oh, nice.
Uh,
Yeah.
eh, but I mean, for big baseball, it's a little bit harder now because I mean, it's new to them, and most of them already, also doing judo and stuff like that. That they do some Paralympics on goalball and judo, so it's kind of hard for them to try it for some of them. But what we're doing right now is getting to like schools to the kids, try to get them at early age so they can learn about the sports. That way, when they grow, they can have something to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. So then in terms of the tournament, let's kind of dive in head first here. I guess we can start with you, David, on this. Just kind of give us like a recap of, the four teams. I know there were four teams that competed and kind of how those four teams, got involved.
Yes, I mean at the beginning when we were doing the logistic for the tournament, we both agreed that we have to find out which team will be able to go because plane tickets and the hotels, the expenses were a little bit higher than normal. So Jason did a great job finding two teams plus his team to go there. Um, I believe when he talked to them, they all agreed to go, and they came. They came great because I mean, we gave a great show. We had a little bit of everything. Like first thing is like home runs in this league, is hard to get. And thanks God, Jason's team had three homers this past weekend.
That's
And that's
right.
exciting because some people can see, a little bit of everything of the sports while we're there.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was quite a performance by the Archers. Yep. Jason, anything you'd like to add just kind of on, the four teams and how they got involved?
I, th- I think two of the four teams, of course, with the Archers and my involvement with the event, but also with Kawas and David's team. But I think the other two teams also have some special connections when you're looking at, um, Austin Blackhawks, who are pretty much one of the pinnacle organizations in this sport. But they also have not only a lot of championships in their resume, but they have a lot of outreach in other communities on their resume as well. Whether it's going to Argentina, whether it's going to other places across the world to promote beat baseball. So originally we were looking at the teams. We're like, what better organization to have here who has a history, has the legacy of knowing how it is to help build a sport in another community, another area. Also with the Titans, one of the things some people may not realize is, especially where this tournament was held, Nestor Gonzalez, who's also one of the great ambassadors of the sport, his family is from Puerto Rico. He's from some of them live in Caguas. So this was also another good way to, you look at some of the stories like with him being able to his son Damien play beat baseball, Nestor coach beat baseball, and basically where they have family ties to was also a pretty cool thing to do while we were in Puerto Rico. So the teams were chosen and selected, and kind of, we wanted teams who can get there, but also teams who understood what the mission we were trying to accomplish in Puerto Rico.
Right. Gotcha. And then, yeah, just in terms of like the actual games, the matchups, any kind of highlights you want to mention, Jason?
I think, from every standpoint, I thought you saw some cool things. You saw Caguas get their first win as a team in Puerto Rico, and they got two victories. You saw some good plays by some of the players on the Titans, like Zach Turner, and some of the stars of our sport, Damien Gonzalez, who's a growing star in the sport. Austin Blackhawks had some new additions to their roster, so saw a lot of good competition out of them with Brandon Chesser, who has made his way back to Austin and had a good performance in the tournament. You saw Grant Simpson, he's I thought it was scary enough when he was getting good by playing in teams that weren't in his area, but now he's playing in his home team, so he's getting the practice reps consistently every day. Man, he's getting better and better. You can see that, and you always know what Darius Sterling brings to the table on defense. And then the Gateway Archers, I think a lot of people have talked about the names on our roster that, you're familiar with, of course. Mark Morris, Eric Rodriguez did their thing in Puerto Rico. There was no Nick Mulhern or Ethan Johnson out there this weekend, but, Demetrius Mora, who made a All-Star trip, had another good weekend. Richie Cressel started off pretty well as well. Steve Patton was probably one AB shy from being in the all-tourney team for batting for offense. But Tim Chappell, who was an offensive MVP in Vegas, again, 2 tournaments in a row now. He's offensive MVP again in Puerto Rico. And Zion Prince, man, like, you talk about development, you talk about young players, and you talk about the youth of this league, and wanting to see players you we're not familiar with kind of shine and get their growth. Last year, he hit a home run in the World Series. This term, he hit 882 and 2 home runs. I mean, absolute bombs.
Wow.
The guy is really emerging and coming on as a talent, and we're happy to see it. There's a guy we discovered at MSB, a Missouri School for the Blind demo. I pitched to him the first time, and he hit the ball. I said, "You can hit off me. You should be able to hit off anybody." We took him to the World Series 3 weeks later in 2023, and he's just gotten better and better each year, and it's just good to see that talent develop. And I mean, the sky's the ceiling from him. Even in this tournament, he got himself out. He had 2 strikeouts, and I think he threw a bat. Those were his 3 outs in the tournament. So he was never recorded out or never put out by a single person besides himself.
Amazing. Yeah. And such a great point too, Jason, about like the youth kind of movement and in all adaptive sports. Obviously, we got to get the young folks involved to keep growing these and continue more opportunities for folks in general. David, back to you. Any kind of highlights you want to mention? And did you by chance get to play in this tournament?
Well, actually, I did just get one at bat on. Thanks God I scored, so that was good.
Yep.
We don't want to bring that up, David, because I know which team you scored against.
Oh yes, of course. I have to play against the best, so to prove myself. But anyway, besides whatever what everything that Jason has said, I want to add also that we got some bets that they did great on this tournament, like Cesar Lascano, that he was part of the offensive all-star team and hitting with a pitcher that is not his normal, so that's pretty good. Also having vets coming in and help out and doing great on the tournament, as well as Richie Flores, which is normally now his normal is be on the top, with either offense or defense. He did a great job. Also, we have a couple of players like that have been already on the league since last World Series, like Raisa and Eric, that they did a pretty great job. The new players coming in for the first time playing for Puerto Rico, like Fernando and Ian. At least they already, they did record the first put out on the first hit, so that's promising for Puerto Rico.
Absolutely, yeah. And I did want to ask you a little more too, just about kind of the support of Puerto Rico, of this tournament, and did you guys get some fans and kind of community involvement to come out and check it out?
Yes, we had since the event was at the complex that the Puerto Rico Baseball Academy High School use. We have all those kids, not all of them, but most of those kids helping out as volunteers. They were part of the clinic, and some people got involved, like doing videos that is running out right now on the media, because they were amazed to what happened, what was happening, because it's the first time for them to see that. And I'm pretty happy about it because everybody, put a little bit of their part to help out. The mayor of Caguas, he did a great job with us, helping us out, with uniforms, lunches, putting up the fields. His staff was there all the time. I mean, asking what we need and trying to get us, what we need to keep going with the tournament. They also did awards. It was like an effort of everybody put a little bit of something. And that's why I believe it was so successful.
Right. Interesting. And then so Jason, just in terms of Gateway, their success in this tournament, just kind of looking ahead, anything you want to mention, just, taking a crystal ball here in 2026?
we have a goal. I think it's a goal of every team when you start a season. Your goal is to win a championship. We have guys who have been at that highest point of the mountain, and they have won championships before, but we have guys who've been in this league now for 20 plus years and have not got that chance to be there. So we're going to keep grinding. We know we won tournaments is step one. It's not we're not pouring champagne in each other's heads yet. We got a big tournament come up in Indy at the Bonanza. We have Bolingbrook right after. We actually have a battle for Illinois in between that. So we have 3 straight weekends of beat baseball coming up, where we play the Comets at Aurora at the World Series location. And then we have Oklahoma and we have Champaign. So we got 5 more tournaments to get some work done. Before, kind of talking about the Archer, I do want to add a couple things to, kind of this, the community support aspect. What I think was very cool about this tournament that, we don't get a lot of, because we hosted at a baseball complex, Greg, so it's different. So usually when you go to a soccer complex, they're trying to figure out a lot about our sport, and it's not because they're used to playing, just worried about soccer. Here at this complex, from the students who helped out, from the people David Sanchez mentioned about, who run the complex, the people in the community, it was just an overall excitement about beat baseball and find out beat baseball. It energized, I think, everybody around you. So like, it was different than playing at a soccer field where you see, people are like, okay, don't damage our corner flags, stuff like that. They're like, hey, whatever you need for baseball. And even talking to the people afterwards, they were taking pictures of the award winners, and they're putting those pictures up inside the baseball complex. So
Wow.
that was pretty cool to be there, and just chatting with some of the kids, and to give you the breadth of baseball in Puerto Rico. We were at this complex where it's basically like a high school, and the kids go to school 3 days a week, and they have baseball training 2 days a week. That tells you how devoted they are to that sport. So now they're devoted to beat baseball and helping it grow. And I even say, like, again, you talk about growing the sport. We may have been playing beat baseball next to some future MLB players, because these guys are dead serious about their growth in beat baseball and produce talent out of that complex like Carlos Correa and other players. And you may have introduced a whole new level, a whole new person to the sport who may have never known it happened. May remember that going down the line when they're hitting home runs for the Miami Marlins or something. They'll remember, hey, I remember the time I was at the beat baseball tournament in Puerto Rico. So I think even that was special too, to add to kind of the community investment and support, and all the stuff that I think one of the cooler moments that David hasn't mentioned, and he probably won't, but seeing him get honored in college for his support of adaptive athletics at the opening ceremonies and getting an award from the city, that was really cool for me to see, and I think everybody else there.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, congrats on that honor, David. And
Thank you.
you've put in a lot of work, like you've talked about, trying to get stuff going down there and grow more adaptive sports opportunities and beat baseball specifically. So yeah, and just kind of on that note, I'm curious, David, do you think this could become like an annual event, or perhaps even more frequent than that?
Well, that's the plan. I know, like, the city of Caguas, they already told me, David, we want to, to tie you down here, because we want this to come every year. So it's something that we want to work on. That's what I was asking, like, for feedbacks, so what we can do better for next year. So try to get it done again next year, but do a little bit better than this time.
Right. Yep. You got to start somewhere, though, right? Kind of lay that foundation,
Yes.
and which it sounds like this tournament really did. I was also curious too, as far as like media coverage, any kind of like TV or digital, like social
That,
media coverage down
well,
there. Yeah.
social media, yes, but sadly, that was the week that one of our biggest basketball, icon died. I don't know if you guys remember him. His name was Jose Picolín Ortiz. He did play. He did have his team with Utah Jazz back in the 80s or 90s,
Hmm.
but he played more in Europe. He was like the star war in the Olympic team. So he died like a couple of days before the tournament. So pretty much all the like TV were more sent on his funeral. But
Interesting. Yeah.
we got a lot of social media work on, and then also I'm gonna start sending them to all the stuff that we have done to the TV and see if they can do some more sharing our tournament.
One of the coolest, I think, social media shares though, Greg, was I'm gonna date myself, and everybody's gonna know I'm over 40. Carlos Baerga, who was a player for the Cleveland Indians back in the day, shared it out, and I was a huge. Even though I'm a Cardinals fan, you always hear those players like they were very good in that era. That you're like, man, I like them as they're not playing against the Cardinals, which back then there was no interleague play, so the Cardinals never had to play against Carlos Baerga. So I was like, that was pretty cool to see him share it out and promote it on social media.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yes.
Wow. And I
Yes,
know.
that was excited. Because I mean, I'm part of a chat with the fantasy league on his league, and when I post that on the chat, he called me like, David, what do you need from me? Send me these. I'm gonna post it and everything. And I mean, that was pretty amazing because I mean, you sometimes think that people don't see you, but when things like this happen, they come and offer that help. That's when you learn that all the time people are looking at you, are seeing you, even if you don't notice.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I know, Jason, you mentioned Benji Molina and some of these, players, or MLB in general, I know has, made some contributions to beat baseball and some of the teams, MLB teams as well. So it's really cool to kind of see those connections.
Yeah, no, I just think that, I look at this in Puerto Rico and I look at, we took the excitement of the World Baseball Classic. And as I said before, I'm always looking to see like how we can grow the sport, how we can do some cool things, whether it's the Ultimate Beat Ball tournament or going to these tournaments in Puerto Rico. I think our next step has to be a World Beat Baseball Classic. That has to be something that's got in the pipeline. And then, that's
Yes,
something we can create and maybe get 4 to 6 countries to start off. But I think that has to be something that we need to get to here sooner or later.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm curious too about, Puerto Rico potentially sending a team to the Beat Baseball World Series at some point. And you guys think that's, maybe sooner than later?
probably yes. Actually, like yesterday when I was waiting at the airport, I have one of the veterans on the league calling me and letting me know. I mean that maybe next year he will be available to play for the Kawas Hunters at the World Series. So
Hmm.
that's amazing. Without asking anybody, they already, I mean, coming to me to offer the help. I'll be part of the team. So maybe, I mean, if I keep getting calls like that, I might be able to have a team fully ready for next year.
Absolutely.
Craig, I tried to get him to go this year. I tried hard. I was like, hey man, yeah, I pushed, but
Yes, you did, you
Yep.
did, you did.
It's not too late, right? It's still got a couple months here, so
Yeah, but we got a couple of weeks to turn in the roster.
that's true.
It's,
All
it's,
the
it's pretty
yeah,
it's pretty tough at this point. But for next year, I'm pretty sure we will be able to do it. 'Cause
right.
at least right now, the players that we had, that they never have played, in a tournament, they already got, play with it. Yesterday, I had a conversation with two of them, and they're pretty excited. They want to learn more, they want to be better, and they want to, keep going. So that's a good indication that that it can grow really fast.
No doubt. Yeah. And obviously we've seen, Taiwan kind of return to the World Series. I know the Dominican Republic at one point had a team. Canada, Toronto, I think the Blind Jays, were a team there at one point. Of course, Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, but to kind of have, a little, quote unquote international flair and representation from other
Yes,
territories and countries is a really cool thing.
yes,
the World Beat Baseball Classic are already formulating, Greg. You see it. Canada, all the countries are already formulating.
It's coming. Yep. We'll
yes,
be talking hopefully about it on this podcast at some point officially.
yeah. Pretty much, pretty soon Canada will come in and be part of the league as well.
Yeah, I'd love to see them come
We're
on
working
back.
on that. We're working on that.
Good. Yeah. Obviously the pandemic, I know, changed a lot of things, but hoping to see more, countries return or even some new ones kind of come back into the, get into the fold here. So David, in
Yes.
terms of the Renegades, just talk to me about kind of, looking ahead here to the tournaments coming up here in 2026 for you guys.
Yes, the team is going to Indy at the end of the month, and then we're gonna do the Beast of the East in New Jersey before the World Series.
Nice.
Um, as far as I know, I haven't been able to go practice over there, for obvious situations, but they're doing great. Everybody feel young again, and they hitting the ball harder than before. So I expect we can get back to the top five at the World Series.
Yeah, I always see the Renegades, definitely top 10, if not top 5. So I feel like at some point they're, going to break through here and then make quite a run.
Yes.
Jason, anything else you want to mention? Just kind of looking ahead. I know you briefly kind of touched on it as far as the Archers, but so obviously it's Aurora, Illinois, in the World Series this year in the Chicago area. I know you were, certainly instrumental in the last couple putting those on. So is it maybe a little less work for you this year?
I mean, a little less work, and the exciting thing for me is, and I said the reason I enjoy the sport is, a lot of different factors. One of the main reasons I enjoy the sports is the guys on my team, and in the last 2 years, there was always a joke when I would come by and, I'm filling up a water station or putting in ice. I'd be, but also Jason Frazier appearance, because I was not really around him as much as I would like to be because, I'm, was hosting the event. So I'm really looking forward to being back on the bench and being with the guys and being at the World Series. But, I've, been helping out Aurora as much as I can to get them prepared to make sure they're preparing to help do the best they can for the league. We're actually, like I said, again, we're going to do like a test run with Aurora with the Battle for Illinois where we play 2 games against the Comets. We do it every other year, every even year. So it happened to fall this year. We usually do it in Springfield, Illinois, which is like halfway between the teams. But this year we said, hey, let's test out Aurora and do it there on June 6th. So we'll be playing the Comets there, give it a test run. And then, I mean, it's not too far. We're not driving, Aurora, Illinois is about 3 hours and 45 minutes from MindsEye's location. So we're not having to head the highway too far.
Exactly. Yeah. Definitely helps not having to hop on a plane or whatnot. And just in terms of kind of looking ahead at future World Series dates and locations, you think St. Louis, that area, will be back in the mix at some point?
We may be. I think right now, like I said, I enjoy hosting the tournaments and helping out with these in different areas. I said I know we're looking at the Ultimate Beat Ball Tournament, which we also host. This year will be at George Mason University, October 1st through 3rd. So we're already working on getting the players selected for that and the point system and the rankings. Now, right now, Richie Flores added to his total, where he's now, I think he has 22 points. So he's the leading point getter right now through tournament play. It's going to take up our time. But I think this year's the last year, it'll be at George Mason. And I think we may be shifting back to St. Louis for 2027. So, but yeah, we might be in the mix down the line. We enjoyed our time hosting. It was great to showcase not only our area, the beat baseball standpoint, but the area of St. Louis and the Metro East area to teams, whether it's dining locations, going to a Cardinals game. So, and then to experience audio description, some of our other programs while they're here was great. So yeah, I wouldn't count us out from hosting again.
Gotcha. Nice. All right, so before we wrap up here, I did want to give you guys a chance to give out any kind of contact info if folks are interested in connecting. I guess we can start with David, if you want to mention like an email address, or if anyone out there is interested in maybe the whole Puerto Rico kind of effort and getting involved.
Yeah, my email address is dsanchez@nbba.org.
Gotcha. Easy enough. And then Jason, in terms of MindsEye, Jason, how can folks kind of find you guys if you want to mention MindsEye Radio and maybe the website and etc.?
Sure. If you want to check out and find out what we're all about from our program standpoint, go to mindseyeradio.org. If you want to listen to this broadcast, and you can listen to Greg's show, who comes on iFree Sports on our app. You can download the app in the Apple Store or through anything in the Google Play Store as well. So the MindsEye app is there. But yeah, if you want to have any questions about our program, feel free to reach out to me at jfrazier, which is JFRAZIER at mindseyeradio.org. So, and then if you want to check out Gateway Archer stuff, you go on Facebook for MindsEye Adaptive Athletics.
Awesome. And as usual, I'll include links to all that info in the show notes for everyone as well. Excellent. All right. Well, again, just want to thank you guys, David Sanchez, Jason Frazier. Thanks so much for taking the time to join Eyes Free Sports. Really enjoyed the conversation, and just hats off to you guys on all the work you're doing out there in adaptive sports.
All right, thank you for having us.
Thank you, Greg. Keep up the good work on the podcast.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. To hear more episodes of the Eyes Free Sports podcast and to subscribe, search for Eyes Free Sports on your favorite podcast platform or visit eyesfreesports.com. Be sure to follow the Eyes Free Sports podcast at facebook.com/eyesfreesports and on Twitter at Eyes Free Sports.